Here's another ghost story. This has really happened about an old funeral home. I bought an old house when my kids were young, a lot of years ago, and I got it for a little bit of nothing because they built a highway right behind it with, I don't know, 50, 60 feet behind the back door was a highway run through the edge of it, and where they put a fence up. It was kind of loud. That's why I got it practically cheap. All I had to do really was pay the taxes and remodel or rebuild, and I got it for nothing. And it was up there in Kentucky, and nice little area. Or, you know, nice. I liked it. I grew up about like the same kind of places, and I remodeled it and lived in it, and as we went along, I was living in it and fixing it up, and my kids were little. Things went pretty good at first. Then we started hearing, I don't know, kind of noises like somebody loading a horse, hitching up a wagon in the old days or something. And you could tell some old man, it's like an old guy complaining, griping, cussing, and horses yelling like he was not mistreating them, but just hard on them. Well, like I said, the highway was already there when we moved in, but they had just built it a few years, 5, 6, 7 years earlier. And they told me that they had to, right behind, back in there, when they excavated a lot of dirt and everything for a ramp, they found all kinds of bodies. And instead of, they were just threw out there, a bunch of bodies, and they weren't in any kind of coffin, any wooden, anything. You could tell they were throwing some of them on top of each other, of all ages. It was a creepy story. I didn't care. Didn't pay no attention to it. So and it was kind of loud on the highway, so we didn't know what we was hearing sometimes. We didn't know what was going on, hearing noises. The back room was the oldest part of the building, and it was like crumbling bricks, but they looked nice, and we kind of fixed up. My daughter wanted that room. She had it all fixed up, but she'd wake up in the middle of the night every night screaming and crying and running. Wouldn't go back in there for nothing unless I went with her. She said some old man was chasing her, and she was scared. So he was on a wagon sometimes chasing her. And I'm thinking, well, I hear horses, but I don't believe in ghosts. I didn't believe in them. I told her, ghosts lives in little kids' minds. I said, they're not real. Well, I switched rooms with my daughter. She was high drama. She's about 9 by then. She got a little bit older, and she was scared to death of that room. And like I said, she was always scared, hearing bumps and sounds. I didn't pay no attention to her until I started sleeping in that room. I woke up and hearing somebody like riding horses or something hollering, and hey, go, go, ho, and whoa, all kinds of stuff. I know there ain't nobody on the highway riding horses 2 or 3 in the morning. But I tried to rationalize, I wanted to stay there because I put a lot of money in it and didn't have the money to move. And so we locked off the last 2 rooms. It was a big old house. It was a funeral home originally. And rooms everywhere. So we thought it did solve the problem for a little while. But me and my daughter both. My boy, he always playing army or soldiers. He didn't pay no attention to nothing. He wouldn't know if it was a ghost. Well, anyway, we're both sitting there watching TV one day, and we hear the noise real loud. We look up, and here comes this dark thing. I don't even know what it was, a thing or not. It was like a little dark cloud, maybe 3 or 4 feet long, a foot or 2 high. And it just stopped, but it stopped right over my daughter. And it just went away. But I just said right then, we're out of here. I wasn't going to wait till the next day. I wasn't going to look for a place. We had to drive about 40 miles to a real town to get a motel room. Well, that dark thing that was in the room, it disappeared. It kind of just like bubbled away, faded away. Really weird, man. It was like, I don't know, it's just weird. Well, I was really scared to death, really. I told my daughter it wasn't nothing. I didn't know what else to say. It said it was a horse's head. I didn't know what it was. I was more scared and observing. A bunch of bodies found out behind the house, and it was an old funeral home. We knew that, but I didn't believe in ghosts. Then found an old tombstone under the dirt when I was putting a cistern in one time, and I just set it up. I didn't think nothing about it and couldn't read the writing on it. And well, my daughter's dreams were the old man, old grouchy man, well, I don't know, he's grouchy, but an old man with a horse. So all she could see was the head. There were a couple horses. I only seen their heads most of the time. And she said on the side of the wagon, it said Fox, F-O-X. And it said Fox on a building that didn't really exist, but in her dream it did. And well, when I went to thought about trying to stay in that old house. I didn't have the money to move on. I didn't want to go live with my brother back down in Tennessee. And anyway, he goes, the court man in there, he said, "You're in that old haunted house." And I didn't pay attention to him. And he showed me some records where a lot of people lived there, and all of them thought it was haunted. And it said an old man named Uriah Fox. When he said Fox, I got real scared because that's what my daughter had been seeing. I thought, I had to look at it. It said Uriah Fox. He owned the funeral home. It wasn't even a real funeral home. He probably just threw him out there in the field, the guy told me. Well, I kept looking at the records in there, and I just kept looking at the name Uriah Fox, and it didn't say nothing on that stone, but he told me the old man was dying of fire, and said his daughter, a young daughter, and his wife had died long when they were young. His daughter was just a young kid. They died in a fire in that house, and he rebuilt. Seen everybody lived there. Always reported him chasing their kids. Yeah, the neighbor lady who fed the dog for me, she'd done that before. Sometime we'd be gone 2 or 3 days or more. She said, while I was gone, several times somebody was knocking on the back door. Said it was a real old man, looked like a bum come off the street. And she said her grandma told her that's what they used to see, that old man all the time, and her grandma had been dead for 20 years. So I don't know, I'm afraid old Uriah Fox was knocking on our back door.